The world needs fantasy, not reality. We have enough reality today. Alexander McQueen. Let me give you an example. Imagine you went on a date. It's a beautiful night. You sit down. You start asking the person what are they into. Maybe they're into wellness. They start describing, yeah, I go to the gym. You know, I eat healthy. Kind of the personal development things that everyone describes. Then what? They might suggest, you know what, I always wanted to be a writer, or I wrote a little bit, but yeah, I do poetry on the side. It's nothing serious. Nah, I'm not gonna share it with you. You can feel that the creative part of who they're trying to be is somewhat suppressed. And then you can start to see how our entire lives are constructed around comfort. The reason that happens is because we are killing our creativity. You know when people say, yo, there's that vibe, that person has a vibe. It is because they've harnessed their creativity. And no one in the self-improvement niche talks about this because you can't. Imagine if you were to tell someone, yo, trust your intuition. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? Give me a plan. When the plan is the way we feel. When we get fear, that is the plan. When we get anxiety, that is the plan. Our body is literally the wisdom. What the world craves is fantasy. That fantasy is our highest desires. Whatever you're drawn to, you're inseparably connected to. The fact that you have a desire to be someone else, to have certain things, is literally a reflection of inward potential. Like it is your body saying, yo, become that next person. Take that leap of faith. But we don't end up doing that. And the thing is, we can feel it off of people. Everyone who we admire is a creative. Everyone. This is Marilyn Monroe, Michael Jackson to David Goggins. David Goggins, if you don't know who he is this ultra marathon runner. People say he's the toughest man on the planet. How is someone like that creative? He describes in a story that he was this overweight guy sitting on the couch, you know, killing cockroaches at his workplace. And yet, he had this calling. He felt it above him that I can be like the world's toughest man. I could be this superstar athlete. And it was that imagination broke his everyday reality and he was drawn to that vision. He created the guy who he became. In the same way, Michael Jackson. I never knew this, but there's a video of Michael Jackson talking about scripting where he writes down the person he's trying to be. He says, I will no longer be Michael Jackson. I will be MJ. I will be Magic. I will have a system to be the best person I could be. Like, he literally talked about it. He became that guy. He saw the vision and created it. The same thing with Marilyn Monroe in The Art of Seduction, where she had this voice that was super high pitched and it wasn't really attractive. And then she became this sex magnet. She would be in front of the mirror and rehearse to herself before a party, before an event, to go into character. Now you might be thinking, isn't that kind of fake? No, it's not. Isn't it kind of fake that we live a life completely ran by our traumas? Are we not ourselves? How can we be ourselves if our entire life is guided by our traumas and our fear? We are not actually being ourselves. That higher self, that creative, that David Goggins, that Michael Jackson, that Monroe, that image that they had of themselves is their true self. But what happens is that we live in a world where creativity is not respected. You wear a little bit of a flare pants, people laugh at you. You do something a little bit different, people laugh at you. You post your poetry on Instagram, people laugh at you. This is the problem. Therefore, you might actually be gaslighted to think that you're crazy when in fact, you're actually true to yourself. And this is what a lot of creatives experience. If you followed my content before, you know I study a lot of artists and creatives. What they did differently is not that they found out the little secrets inside. They trusted their North Star. I like style and fashion, therefore I dressed up like this. That might not be your North Star. What you might feel inside of you is this calling to paint. Maybe you dress normal, but you got this urge to paint. And then all of a sudden you start painting. You lean into that resistance. Remember, what your body is telling you is literally your self-help book. Your body is a self-help book. I can sit here and tell you, man, you gotta go to the gym and get jacked, you gotta eat healthy. Picasso didn't have a six-pack. Jean-Michel Basquiat didn't have a six-pack. A$AP Rocky doesn't have a six-pack. Like, put these things together that a lot of people are telling you their vision, and then we are using their vision, which Of course, you'll get improvement in your life. If you eat healthy, of course you're gonna improve in your life. If you go to the gym, of course you're gonna improve. But you are not leaning into the resistance. And this is what I've noticed, that I'm someone who I can go to the gym twice a day. I am so obsessed with the gym, and I wasn't actually improving. If you're an avid gym goer, you'll notice that at a point, not going to the gym is the hardest part. And then you'll begin to realize, like, yo, I'm actually not leaning into my resistance. For me, the gym was easy. It was easy to eat clean. You know what was hard? Putting myself online. But my true resistance and all the growth that I wanted wasn't gonna come from the gym. It was gonna come from sitting in front of this camera right now. Right now, I'm going against my resistance, and this is where the growth happens. I can speak in front of a lot of people. In front of the camera, I'll mess up, I'll stutter. It doesn't come natural to me. I'll make a lot of mistakes. And that's because that is my North Star. It is telling me, my intuition is guiding me to sit in front of the camera. And at the beginning, you're not good. I am not good at this, but that is part of the creative process. And anything I do besides sitting in front of the camera and really following my intuition is a waste of time. Let me clarify, it's avoidance behavior. And really what you find in the people who we admire, they were able to lean into that resistance. Even though it's uncomfortable, all the artists we admire, they still jumped in head first. Sometimes that resistance is so painful, they would need to numb themselves with drugs and alcohol, but they still leaned into it. And for us creatives, we are living in a world where our creativity is so often suppressed that when we don't lean into it, we will live in a forever place of anxiety, a forever place of depression, because we are not being the person who we were meant to be. If there is one thing you can get out this video, it is to lean into the resistance, not the reality of the world, not the things that are going around us, but where is your imagination telling you to go? I've been on dates before where it felt as though the whole world froze. I was on a date for like 5 hours and I didn't even notice anything around me. I was in between surrender and discipline, and it was just pure flow state. And I can't explain that feeling, that someone can be so drawn to you when you're just being who you were meant to be. But when you follow the advice that's on here, it's like you're on a date and you're setting out these very rigid rules. You become this very rigid person. You're in this weird reality. It loses its seductive capacity. Life is supposed to be fun. Real discipline is play. But when we have these very rigid structures, we end up killing our creativity. And it is our creativity that is really gonna free us. I'll end with this one anecdote from The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. In the book, he describes different archetypes of seducers. One of them is the dandy, which I think most likely you and I are. And that is the flamboyant person, the person who can mix masculine and feminine energies. He gives this example of this person, I believe their name is Valentino, and they just had this impeccable charm. They were flamboyant. People were so drawn to Valentino. But then what happened is that because you are so different from the world, because you're rejecting the rules of society that are placed on you, you are going to get backlash. And what Valentino felt was that people, in particular men, were criticizing him for being unmanly. So what did he try to do? He began to box. And for you and I, we might go really hard into the gym and self-improvement and be this Mike Tyson warrior kind of mentality. That actually stifles you, because you are then slipping into the way other people see you. You are not being your true self. And I noticed this with myself, that when I had this Mike Tyson kind of like, yo, I'm gonna rip everyone's head off, I'm the savage in the gym, that wasn't who my North Star was. I'm meant to be the rock star, the light flowing person, that super creative individual. When I was that person, I found the world to be differently. People reacted to me differently. I had people on the street come up to me and compliment my outfits and so forth. When I'm in Mike Tyson mode, I got the hood on, don't talk to me. And I'm killing my creativity because I'm accepting someone else's vision and making it mine. I am becoming a rigid person. And if you made it to the end here, I try to make all my videos actionable. The main thing that you can do right now is to sit and feel how your creativity is being zapped from you. Let it sear in your chest. Wow, you know what? I really want to start writing. I really want to post myself online. I really want to dress differently, but I'm afraid other people are going to judge me. And what you'll realize is that the more you lean into the person who you were meant to be, the world will be so attracted to you, you can't even comprehend it. Creativity is the way. Let's go.